Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. My name is World Undone. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode. We have just discovered an interesting fact about the ship's emergency system. When it brings a ship to a halt, it causes the bolt to slide in and lock the door behind it. This closed room mystery may not be quite as much of a closed room as once suspected. Now, I had my inclinations that the emergency lock may have been used last night while everyone in the ship was drugged because of the bookshelf, which, as you can see, everything is all toppled over, which implies that there was an abrupt stop made at some point. However, I didn't know about the bolts, so that's certainly something new. Alright, so either way, I think it's about time that we end the preamble and begin to move on. Well, that's strange. And look at all the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I'd better tidy this place up first. If you say so? Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery, at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. Really? I heard it's just Tosonaga. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. Uh-oh. So, wait. Are you going off of your, what was it called in Disco Elysium? Inland Empire ability? You can just tell that it's gonna be something bad? Investigation Part 3. How many parts, I wonder, are there? Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Susato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt. Okay, we've got a few people here.
You, what are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters?
Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes. It appears to have been a false report, though. Really? How did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop.
Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere.
This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? You wicked intruder, dressed in all black. You are the devil. Sorry, me? I haven't called a lot of things before, but devil is new. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man?
Duh, and he'll stow away as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe?
Vixen?
Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else.
Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She's right. You are devil.
Doesn't look good, does it?
There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police.
Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Okay. Let's look inside here. I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch my things.
You want me to show you where crawfish hibernates?
What are these strange Russian expressions? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think you're doing? Wow, everyone's attacking me. I was just starting to think she was my friend. Why do you keep assaulting me and, like, nobody else? Ridiculous. Isn't there anyone who can help me out of this mess? Wait. Wait. I thought there might be someone. What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Holmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce. Okay, so you're just insane. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. Ah, you again, the great detective. Ah, Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time.
What is your report? Speak.
An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes? The case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Alright, we dancing around again?
Huh, you have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing Student Boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is his stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
Duh, locked room, that is point.
The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin except for what just literally happened. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there was another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin, despite the vaulted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you, even as we speak. The ventilator, man! The ventilator?
You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole.
That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Holmes, do you mean? Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m., I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m., what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Holmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! What is happening? Okay, there's the snake I was talking about. Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the speckled band. A snake? Indubitably. Yeah, so does anyone have anything to say about this? Mr. Holmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap to which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explained the intricacies of my train of thoughts. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. This was my thinking. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Holmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi? Yeah, you might want to get the snake off his head in that case. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coil around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Okay. Here we go, everyone. Are we ready? I'm somewhat ready. Partially ready. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. Apparently not. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. Oh god. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. Well, it's a band. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? What are you doing? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's sloughed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin, no? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. A snake so dreadful we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Not so sure about that one. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of which the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. No. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right! You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed! You'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you would release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It is not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took this poor young man's life. There can be no doubt, my logic is infallible. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the speckled band. There's a lot of stuff wrong with that. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible. You've solved the mystery. No, he hasn't. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Holmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Holmes? But of course. What's on your mind? It's just, about your deductions before, some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and I will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure if it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova's used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no... Okay, phew! I was worried that the game fell into the same trap. So there was a Sherlock Holmes detective book where Sherlock Holmes figures out the answer that somebody trained a snake using a bell, I think it was. But snakes don't have ears. It was Arthur Conan Doyle being just dumb. So I'm glad that the game has noted that. So, yes. I was considering holding my tongue until the right moment, but now I'm glad I don't have to. Snakes have no ears. Ah! Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal a snake by whistling. But madame, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it on the snake, Mr. Holmes. There is one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Then it should try harder. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Holmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Sorry, Mr. Holmes. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Holmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? Yeah, can you please not lock me up again this time? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see they're restored after our work is done. You really don't have to. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, hold it, Mr. Holmes. So that was... Aching heart, no. She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Holmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Okay, there's... Ooh. I see. Claw scratch. Gotcha. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive... Oh, Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected. Telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is not the writhing serpent. Okay. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, Snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Okay, let's... Aha! A kitty. What? What precisely was your intention? Just following the natural progression. Sometimes it's... So, okay, we do get damaged during these sections. Yes, a lot. There was a picture and a cat in there. Come on, game. You're really gonna do me like that? So there's a writhing serpent. There's a photographic frame. Come on, that was mean. Like, really? The friend is right there. Okay, hang on. I know what I have to do. Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. Alright, that was a nasty little trick, wasn't it? This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. But personally, it's a little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we'd better take a closer look at this. Okay. There we have it. Okay. Again, mean trick, game. Very mean trick. Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Finally we're getting to the truth. Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's marking do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. Yeah, I remember this one. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's sloughed skin. Which, there is no snake anymore. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Holmes' specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Can we examine? Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort. Oh, is it like a kitty toy? And that looks like a handle at one end. Yeah, I was right. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Haha, that sounds positively adorable. I see. Okay, so now, it's the cat's toy. Beautiful. Yes, the thing you are trying, but failing to conceal, is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. Oh, she reached across and was trying to lure it back into the room. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can be only one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, what is this graphical glitch? Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Okay, now it's gone. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Okay, now we've got it. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Alright, maybe she will, maybe she won't. Depends on how this next phase goes. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka. She is so naughty. A beloved kitten. Solved. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Not quite. What Mr. Holmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right, but Mr. Holmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Right. It's the postmortem report. Beautiful. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the postmortem report. Ah, yes. I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed. The breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff is not some mortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, could be immortal. We have it on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body. Will it now? Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh, yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Okay, wardrobe, diary. What about the mark on the floor? Wait. Can I review scene? Okay, so there's that. I guess this? Small glass object and looks like a scuff mark made by Kazuma's shoes. Maybe we should examine this. No, doesn't work. I wonder. Alright, we'll try it. Nice. Alright, there we go. Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I now carry as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please, no. And by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. Wait, that was right? I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. No, I don't think so. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I kind of refuse to accept it true. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But... and if this part of Mr. Holmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. So there's the tiara. Let's examine the waste paper basket. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. You didn't know? We examined the waste paper basket before. Come on, man. Like, now you notice? And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. Sure. Yeah. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Ah! Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, here it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Osogi's cabin. And, as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that a part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? I wonder why indeed. You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know, and that hush Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. We do? Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell. That would be... Oh. There it is. I see. Alright. If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. Wow, okay. That was unexpected. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Tripping over a cat. Is such a thing truly possible? Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. And I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again. By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... Ooh. I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Bureau is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? Is that your snake?
Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Piroshko.
What? What? That snake belongs to you?
He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here.
Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board.
We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend? Without someone who understands?
Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in.
No venom. Piroshko does not have venom. He is harmless. Very long, but gentle. He is adorable, like Granny.
It's venomless?
Yes, now he is hungry, so he is in a bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile.
And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose?
Ha, like they say they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Piroshko eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses.
It's mice. So, is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for?
Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food?
Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. You okay, Mr. Holmes? It refuses to drink milk, it can't hear a whistle, it can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous? How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role?
It is not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Piroshko has nothing to do with this incident.
So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. I think there's still more to this. I really do. Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Holmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? I do agree. To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story. I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Oh, God. You asshole, pardon my language. When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Holmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. Oh, Kazuma. It's so cool. The truth about how you really died, and about how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What should we ponder first? Is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Yeah, there's Russian writing. I don't really think so. Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? I thought you strive for perfection on every case, Hosonaga. The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Nice. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. I would be happy to do that, and I think I know what it is. I think it's this. But we're going to do it in the next episode. Time to give my voice another rest here. Thanks so much for joining me while you did. Yeah, I was like, there's no way this is going to be the end of it with a Kazuma tripping over a kitten. And I was absolutely right. Who knows, maybe I'm the next great detective. Or Ace Attorney. Either way, it's time to wrap up this episode. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. My name is World Undone. Take care.